Welcome to another captivating episode of Raw Conversations,
where fearless moms and experts unite to explore alternative practices. Hey there, I'm Allie.
And I'm Melania. Our mission is to empower your one-of-a-kind parenting journey. Join us as we explore unconventional birthing and parenting methods.
Get ready for inspiration, authentic stories, and unwavering family love.
Together, we're rewriting our rules of parenting one bold step at a time.
So without further ado, let's kick off this empowering conversation.
Raw Conversations, where fearless motherhood leads the way.
Let's talk about sleep, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things. That may be. Let's talk about sleep.
That was a good song choice.
You like it?
Yeah, is this going to be a thing now? This is how we're going to start our episodes?
Oh God, let's not, because we'll lose a lot of listeners.
We have a special appearance. We have a guest with us today. Chatty one.
She says hello. She says hello to everyone. Baby Grace is here.
Baby Grace
with us.
Give us an update. We're 2 months in now.
We're 2 months in. She is doing the usual newborn stuff. Sleeping, eating, pooping, singing. Yeah. You know, she's agreeing right now. Hi, beautiful. She makes great eye contact.
So beautiful.
She hates tummy time, but we'll get there. Life is good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
A little Capricorn energy.
Yeah, she's doing 2 wake-ups a night for food. So we're getting there. She's doing pretty well. I can't complain.
Yeah.
She can complain, though.
Yeah.
She's not happy right now.
Yeah. Well, no, it's because she's been in your belly since we started this podcast. So now she's like, now I get to be involved.
Ready to be involved.
Here's my voice. Hear it roar.
We just had to cut that little moment out. We had to put Grace down to bed. Speaking about sleep training.
Right?
Is it just me or well, no, I know you're like me, but sleep is just such a stressful part of the whole upbringing of a child.
I get anxiety at bedtime now.
Yeah.
Just because, I have a toddler. You have both.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like the demands and the snacks and the water and the going to the washroom. Like, I'm like, how much is it going to be tonight?
And where do you end and where do you put your foot down and what do you let slide? And
3 books, 1 bowl of snack, but he's a growing boy, so he tends to ask for 2. His water and pee we do before bed.
I'm sure there's a sleep trainer out there who will say something against that.
I really hope. Once you hear both of our stories, if you have any compassion for me, please feel free to DM us. Words of wisdom. You want to shit on me? By all means.
I mean, our listeners will relate to either you or me in this podcast. So we've gone down 2 different avenues. We started the same path and then took detours.
We did. We did.
So do you want to talk about a little bit about the
why
history?
don't we start at the very first steps of this path?
Yeah.
So you know how you and I like to not take things for face value right away? We kind of like to dig down.
We dig
really deep down. We get to like the roots. Yeah. We like to see where it's coming from, who's saying it, how this originated. So first of all, I don't even know how I came across sleep training. It must have been through like following Solid Starts and then Gentle Parenting. And then somehow you come across these accounts because I didn't know anybody who had done sleep training.
Right.
And so this whole concept of sleep training, I knew nothing about.
I got the sleep trainer from you.
Yeah.
So
but I didn't know anybody who had done it before. Yeah. So I looked into the history of sleep training.
Tell me more.
So essentially, there's like 3 components to it. We're looking at the 19th and 20th century here within Western societies. And so there's culturally, there is the medicalization of birth, and then there is the growth of prominent physicians. Okay.
Yeah.
So culturally, what happened is that you kind of lived within a community and you had community values and you probably looked to your predecessors and looked to them for advice. So then experts at that time, whether they were really credible experts or not, they come in and you start to listen to them. So you start going from this like community.
A village.
Yes.
When they say it takes a village,
exactly.
Right? That's the village we're talking about.
Exactly. To like a more individualistic lifestyle. And then people start moving away from these communities, moving to the cities. And so it's just kind of like keyword is separation.
Right.
Okay. Then you have what was the medicalization of birth. And so what that meant was that, and like take this with a grain of salt, everybody, but doctors started to kind of discredit midwives. So birth started happening in hospitals, and then introducing kind of like the separation that happens within hospitals, and then the introduction of formula if there's trouble breastfeeding, yada, 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 separation again.
Whole different path. We'll go down another day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so then thirdly, you have the rise of these physicians who start to support basically what will eventually become sleep training. I'm just going to read that per verbatim. So you have prominent physicians such as Dr. Luther Emmett Holt, who wrote The Care of Feeding and Children in 1897. And he had some really extreme point of views. But if I tried to find like a nice part of it for sleep training purposes, he was very strict with schedules and routines. And at 5 months, a child should not be fed or nursed between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
That's his theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which if you even look at it, you're saying she wakes up for 2 feeds sometimes, not even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's 2 months old.
Right.
So, I mean, he's not wrong.
No, exactly.
And then there was also Dr. Anna Fullerton, who wrote the Handbook of Obstetrics Nursing in 1895, in which she advised parents not to pick up their babies every time that they cry. And so these played pivotal roles in shaping early parenting ideologies.
I feel like I can relate to both of them in a way.
I know. I tried to find like the nice things that came out of that. And these were written in like the 19th century.
Back in the day.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So cue the sleep trainers. Please don't be upset with my historical findings. I just kind of wanted to understand where sleep training came from.
Yeah, it starts somewhere.
Right. So then today, I mean, prior to doing my research, I had wanted to find somebody that was close by so that we could text and call each other.
Local.
But somebody that both you and I follow probably came across was Taking Care of Babies.
Yeah. She is huge. I think every single parent, when they do look for sleep training, they come across her pages, and she's got packages from, I think, newborns to toddlers, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it goes up to, but I mean, she's huge. She is a neonatal nurse, a wife of a pediatrician, certified pediatric sleep consultant, and also a mom of 4 kids. So I think the mom of 4 kids just gives her all the credit in the world.
Right.
And she talks about the sleep training benefits. Number 1 being sleep helps our babies' brains mature and lays a foundation for consolidating memories. She says research proves that babies who have more consolidated nighttime sleep actually have a higher cognitive score. Babies who sleep at night have been found to have an easier temperament, being more approachable, less distractible, and more adaptable. And I can speak for myself, but when my daughter has a good night's sleep, she's definitely a happier kid. 100%. To me, sleep, like, even for myself, sleep, if I do not sleep, I am not a happy person.
Called sleep hygiene, everybody.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Right? I, on the other hand, have mastered the art of what I call intermittent sleeping. To be continued.
To be continued.
And I mean, on top of taking care of babies, if any moms are looking for a side hustle, we looked into what a salary of a sleep trainer is in 2024.
They're making between 56 and 90,000 a year as a professional sleep trainer.
Which, by the way, the person that we had was through text messages. Mm-hmm. Don't go in.
Yeah.
Don't go in. Those are the kind of text messages you're sending.
I know.
90K later.
I know. Listen, in my case, it was worth every penny that I paid to these sleep consultants.
Right. No, 100%. 100%. Should I just mention a little bit based on what pro sleep training, maybe what the opposition just has to say in terms of against sleep training?
Yeah, because there's 2 sides to every story, right?
Right. So, basically the emotional well-being of a child, and they argue that allowing babies to cry it out may lead to increased stress or anxiety in infants, developmental concerns. Some experts expressed concerns that sleep training could interfere with infants' natural development processes. They suggest that infants cry as a form of communication, and responding promptly to their needs help them develop a sense of security and trust in their caregivers. Interesting. I can feel your blood boiling or your eyes rolling behind your head.
I just think if my kid doesn't sleep, that's when she's screaming and crying.
Right.
It's like, please put me to bed.
Right. And lastly, long-term effects. Critics of sleep training methods raise questions about potential long-term effects on children's emotional well-being and their mental health.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and associations between early experience of stress and later emotional regulation difficulties. Interesting.
Look, someone will agree with everything you read and someone will agree with everything that I read.
Oh, 100%.
And I think there's a happy medium somewhere in between. And just within the months of your baby growing and learning what they want and what they need, and you as a parent and what your schedule is like. And I don't know. There's a happy medium somewhere for everyone.
100%.
But I am huge on the sleep training.
So talk to us about it.
Well, do you want to go first? Because you found the sleep trainer that we hired.
Right. I'm no longer her star student. So yeah. Okay. Well, we slept trained at 7 months, and at 7 months, he was still waking up 2 to 3 times a night. I didn't quite understand that it was basically just to soothe himself instead of like actually being hungry.
So you were feeding him 3 times a night at 7 months old?
Mm-hmm.
And according to Dr. Emmett, they do not need to eat at that point in the middle of the night.
No.
Okay.
Dr. Emmett would have some words for me. So I contacted a Montreal-based sleep trainer that I had found because I wanted somebody close by that we could text and call. Had initial consult. It took 2 days to sleep train him. It was honestly the most blissful 3 months I've ever experienced. It was a joke. He was going to bed at 4:30, sleeping till 6:30. Mm-hmm. Nobody believed me.
No, I remember that.
Nobody believed me. They're like, he will sleep when he wants to sleep. And I don't know why, but for some reason, people have such a hard time grasping that children need to go to bed early, and earlier the better.
I know. It's the conversations and debates that I've had with people. Oh my God. They're like, what do you mean? It's 4:30, you're putting her to bed. I'm like, yeah, if I put her to bed at 7:30, she's up at 3:30 a.m., you know?
I mean, this is not knocking anybody's parenting. Every child is different, but I would hear sometimes 8:30, 9 o'clock. 4:30. Do you know what 4:30 is for a parent? I still have, if I go to bed at 8:30, I still have 3 hours to myself.
It's amazing.
To do things. I mean, nobody wants to have dinner with you at 3:30 in the afternoon.
I do.
So throw out your social schedule. But it was complete bliss. And a major thing that she had helped me with was understanding wake times.
Wake times, yeah, huge.
And just understanding that if it's a 2-hour wake window, your child needs to be asleep by the 2-hour mark, and that you're not doing your whole routine at the 2-hour mark.
Exactly. So tell people what a routine for sleep training would look like.
That depends, because she was a wake, eat, play, and then give the bottle back to sleep.
Right.
So I know that there's differences. I think that there could be putting your child eating, sleeping, playing, but then they wake up hungry, or feeding so that they're not waking up hungry. So it would differ. I gave the bottle to help him sleep.
Yeah.
And then he would wake up. I don't even remember now. Maybe he would have the bottle or not, play, and then eat again to go back to sleep. That's what it might have been. And depending on his age and whatever she would tell me was the wake hour, I got everything done within that time frame. Mm-hmm. And if, let's say, your routine takes about 15 minutes at that time with your child, however old they are, you have to take that into consideration.
So a routine would be bringing them up to the room, closing the lights, changing their diaper, putting them in a sleep sack, and putting them down to bed.
Yeah.
Awake.
Yes. Oh, key point.
Yeah.
Key point.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's, I think, the major key in sleep training is putting them down awake so they learn to soothe themselves.
Right.
To sleep.
Yeah. Coming from 2 people who sprinkled glow-in-the-darks pacifiers.
That's all I buy now, the glow-in-the-dark passies. They're the best.
Right.
By Bibs. In case anyone's looking for that.
Sponsorship, Bibs. We're looking for you.
Do you want to talk about
when I fell off the wagon?
When you fell off the wagon? This is a safe space, Melania. You can talk about it.
I literally, I'm sweating even just talking about it, because sleep is just such an uphill battle for me to this day. But it was more at the 12-month mark when we did the switch off of formula to get him onto real milk. And he was just born clearly with something like digestively more sensitive. So I've kind of dealt with that since birth. So milk was fun. So I had to deal with that. Then transitioning from 2 naps to 1 nap. And it was just a funky period. And then he started daycare. These are excuses I share with me in my head, okay? And then at 18 months, they switched him in his class and they put him in a cot. You were smart and you kept her in a crib at daycare.
Yeah.
I kept him in the cot. He enjoyed it, slept really well, but enjoyed the company of everybody else in the room as well. And he brought that home. I, unfortunately, when it came to the refusal of the crib, I don't know if I dropped the ball too soon.
How old was he at that point?
22 months when I took him out. He wasn't trying to jump out. He wasn't too big or too heavy for the crib. It was just a refusal, and my gut instinct told me to just take him out. And a friend of ours at the daycare had done the same, and they were in the same situation, so I didn't feel alone. I felt like I was on the right path, but it was a struggle. And he got sick, and I brought him into our bed.
Dun, dun, dun.
I introduced the bed and the possibility of me being there with him.
The most comfortable place on earth.
Yeah. So then where I really fell off the sleep training wagon is that I was told I should put a gate at the door since I took him out of the bed, even though it's really not recommended. You're recommended to at least keep the child in the crib till 3 years old. And I couldn't do the gate at the door. And so where I fall is strict schedules and routine, but then also the fact that a child is human and wants to be consoled and touched. And so because I find myself in the middle, I find myself still struggling to this day.
So what does sleep look like today?
So he's 3, and bedtime routine is just our typical toddler bedtime routine. Get him to sleep. He's asleep by 7:30. And then I unfortunately have a waking once a night. And it's just this scream. And I thought it was nightmares at some point. I thought he was having bad dreams or night terrors. Light into the tunnel. He's not running into our room anymore. So that's how I know I'm on the right track. He just screams for me when he's in bed. And I'm the only person that he wants to be consoled by. So I have managed to do intermittent sleeping. So I get cut at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm up for a little while and then I get sleep again.
So we have the same routine almost back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough that, but look, he's a kid and he'll grow out of it, and every kid's different. And I'm sure there's parents listening right now that are saying, well, my kid's 7 years old and still waking up 3 times a night and running into my room and waking up the siblings. And I think it's something that we all kind of struggle with. Mamas, we got this.
Yeah. Well, who needs sleep? If literally, what do you mean who needs sleep? We just talked about sleep hygiene. We need sleep and we need food. If anybody feels connected to this story, and if you have any words of wisdom, please reach out to us. Any free advice? I don't know how much at this point I've spent on sleep training. I was like scared to go look at my account and see how much I've transferred. No. Or if you have any thoughts on this, you can even reach out. But so why don't we now introduce to the floor the perfect A+ sleep training student?
My goodness. Well, I ended up hiring the same sleep trainer as you.
Yeah.
I get on the phone with her. I talk to her about what's going on. I was waking up with Isabel like 5 times a night, again, giving her the bottle and just trying to soothe her to sleep and holding her and putting her back. And then you start to lose your mind because you're just not sleeping and you're delusional.
But you were so good though, because you had left at one point. She was sleeping, and then you had left and traveled.
Yeah.
And then you came home.
Yeah, we went to Florida and we moved like 3 times in Florida. So she went from room to room, bed to bed, and it was just craziness. So her routine that she had already established here was upside down, which is why I had to come back to Montreal and hire a sleep trainer. I was expecting some whole complex routine. Like, there's like the chair method where you put the chair in the baby room and then you sit there and you watch them, and then you move the chair back a few days later and then you sit outside the door. So I was waiting for some type of what's the strategy here? And she goes, okay, so tonight, you're going to change her. You're going to feed her. You're going to put her in her bed. You're going to close the door, and you're not going to open it until 6 a.m. the next day. I was like, what? That's it? She's like, and may I suggest you turn off your baby monitor's sound? So of course I'm like sweating, thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? So, this is, oh, sorry. I'm going to mention before this got to this like method. She asked me like, how much strength do you have? Do you want this to take a week, or do you want to rip the Band-Aid off and get it done? Like, what is your tolerance to like crying? basically is what she was asking me. And I said, like, let's just do this. But she said, okay, close the door, turn off your monitor, and see her tomorrow. And that's what we did. Turned off the monitor, sat there. She cried for an hour. So this is the cry out method for those parents wondering. The fastest way to do it is this. You have to be willing to hear your kid scream a little bit. You have to understand that they are safe, they are fed. And this is just very, very temporary. So the first night she cried for an hour. The second night she cried for half an hour. Third night she cried for 10 minutes. And she's been sleeping the night ever since. Does not wake up, does not cry herself to sleep. Occasionally, every now and then, let's say she wants to continue playing, but we still have her in a crib. She's 2.5 years old. She loves it. We have her whole little bedtime routine, but to this day, she's in bed in her crib by 6:15 and she sleeps until 6 a.m.
The game changer was just understanding times, because then even if you're putting your child to bed at the appropriate time, then you're not even going to have the screaming or the crying.
Exactly.
You're not overextending into the overtired.
Yeah.
Which I think is once you start to understand that, because then your child, when they're overtired, looks like they have this whole bust of energy, but it's only because they've gone into the overtired.
Exactly. Yeah. And not just that, the timing of bed, but the daytime naps play a huge role. Like you were saying, the wake windows, knowing that at what age, whether it's 6 months, 18 months, 20 months, how much awake time is good for them.
Right.
Like Grace right now, who's 2 months old, could only be awake for about an hour, hour and a half. So now if she's up for any more than that, then she's like a really cranky baby. Right. But I'm not talking about a 2-month-old, because obviously I feel like at this age you still have to do like a la carte feeding and sleeping just on demand. We start at 6 months, and I think that's when they can go the night without eating. Worked for me to this day. We were very strict. We kept her in the crib. From our conversations previously with your second, eventually you'll keep them a little longer. I think that helps, honestly.
We're going to mimic the crib.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep building a bitter bag that looks like a crib. We're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. My daughter's in her crib until she's about 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And then at that point, daddy will not let her out of the house.
The only thing that I had a hard time that I felt like added to my anxiety with sleep training is that if you're going to do it, you have to be strict with the times.
You have to.
And if you're doing 3 naps a day, like you're really not accomplishing anything. Like even if you try to run out of the house, you can get a walk done. Mm-hmm. But it's if you're going to do it, you got to be determined, but then it'll pay off in the future.
Yeah, you have to be dedicated. I just remember we were out at like families' homes and I'm like, guys, we got to go. She goes to bed at 4:30 and they're looking at me like I'm crazy.
I know.
But you know what? Today they all say sleep training is the best thing you ever did. Look at her. And she sleeps and she wakes up and she's the happiest kid in the world.
But if you're at home and co-sleeping is working for you as well, or however it is that you do it, I saw something, how there's the breastfeeding and the formula conversation, and then there's like hashtag fed is best. I think in this situation, you follow your instincts, you follow your gut, and nurtured is best. And as long as your child is happy, healthy, and whatever's working for you and your family is what's important.
Yeah, totally. Look, I have Grace in my bed some nights because I just can't get her to sleep more than 15 minutes in the middle of the night. So at that point, I give up and I bring her in with me.
Right.
We sleep very nicely together.
I know. And it's a nice connection.
I know people who've had their kids in their bed until they were 10 years old. Well, our brothers.
I was just going to say,
I feel like we always throw our brothers under the bus.
Our brothers. But you know what's funny? I have 9 years difference with my brother. You have
8.
So, it's like that huge gap between our sisters and our brothers. Yeah. Like something happened parenting wise, or maybe they knew it was just their last. Yeah, exactly. And so they wanted to hold on to that baby feeling for as long as you could, and people are going to say it's not forever. It's not forever. It feels like forever when you're not sleeping.
It does. Yeah, totally. And one thing I'll confess to.
Yes.
Well, this is something that my husband and I spoke about, even having Isabel. My husband runs 2 pretty big companies where he is the head of it, owns it. Sometimes he's up at 4 a.m. Sometimes he's only gets to bed at 1:30 in the morning. So we knew that having kids, he would not be able to help me at night. So our deal / my push present was having a night nurse, someone who comes and helps you at night, and they care for the baby, they feed the baby, they change the baby, and they let mommy sleep. I'm very grateful that this is something my husband has gifted me, but unfortunately, our moms couldn't come in and move in with us or help us out. My mom works, his mom can't. So this is kind of the avenue we did, and I currently have one with Grace. So I have that luxury of sleeping. I do feel like guilty even like mentioning it, because I know it's something that not many people can have in their lives. But if ever you want to gift someone a really amazing gift, is a night nurse. Even if it's like a night or two here and there, just to give their mom, like the mom, some time to sleep, or, maybe you're in the same situation where your husband is just gone and can't help.
Well, even if you look at, honestly, I have this concept now that I think baby registries should have a night nurse.
Yeah.
Frozen food meals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what else would be actual beneficial help. Maybe a sleep training gift card.
Yeah.
Potentially. But just like, do you find anything on the baby registry was actually ideal aside from stroller? And do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we should be supporting women and giving them that village.
Yeah, because as we mentioned earlier, the village doesn't exist anymore. A lot of people are really, truly on their own. So yeah, the more help you can give to mom, it's, I think, more beneficial than these useless new toys.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't feel ashamed. You're doing the right thing. You're getting the support and you're getting the help that you knew you needed.
Because my husband knows, like, especially me, like, oh, sleep.
And also, they're always handling children. So you're coming with somebody who has the knowledge, and such a comfort, I feel, even probably for your first when you're so nervous and you have somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of little tricks too from them, just how to properly place the baby down, or like making this little like U-shaped with a towel to feel them, so they feel a little bit more cozy, little things like that.
You should add your little tips and tricks.
Yeah.
As some visuals. I had my mom with me, but she hadn't had a child since 20 something years. Mm-hmm. So we were both so nervous, you know, we're both checking, making sure that the child's breathing, when we were taking turns. So there's definitely something that comes with somebody who is knowledgeable and
big time
doing it for a living.
Big time. It's like, I'm so blessed to have this opportunity. If my husband could, he would be more than happy to help me out at night, but it's just, he's in a situation where he can't. So yeah, I'm very grateful that he can at least provide that type of help for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see everybody's feedback on this.
I know.
Court is in session. You're either pro sleep training or you're not. Where do you fall on the spectrum?
Let us know.
And that was another very real and raw conversation.
That's right. Don't forget we always forget to mention, give us a little 5-star on that Spotify or the Apple, wherever you happen to listen. It not only does it help other moms find us, like the more stars that people give us, the higher we go on that podcast list. So, to our listeners,
likes, shares.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We went viral.
We did.
We did on one of our reels about the epidural.
We did on your discussion of your birthing center birth and discussion of epidurals.
So that was kind of cool.
That was amazing.
But yeah,
2024.
I'm so happy with our podcast and where it's going. And thank you for listening, everyone who's been around since day one.
Let's keep at it.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.